we are. It's fight week for Winner Takes All. It feels like it's taken forever. I think that's just because I've been.
It has been quite a long break though.
Yeah. The last one was April, so was it May, June, July, 3 months?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a good 3 months. A lot of time for people to recuperate and miss us and that kind of stuff as well. But I think we've done well. We've obviously had a lot of bridges to cross, a lot of ups and downs, ins and outs. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of ribs. I think it's
Ribs are the worst.
People need to stop inverting. I think that's the biggest problem.
Too many getting body locked.
Yeah, body locks and inversions need to go away. But yeah, it's worked out quite nicely. I think we've got a well-rounded card from the younger lads.
A lot of new faces on this card.
Yeah, a lot of new faces, which is important. It's we've got to grow divisions, we've got to grow the sport simultaneously. So I think it's
and the
worked
opening
out
of a
quite
couple of
nicely.
divisions.
Yeah. Obviously the young, not so young Gabo kicking things off down in the bantamweights. It's not the easiest division, but it has to start somewhere, which is quite cool. And I think it's quite cool that it's in the gi as well. It's a very interesting factor. That was obviously originally set out to be Dylan Carrera-Miguel versus Alan Cliff. So we are in my lounge, and there is a generator, and there are cats that do what they want. So we're gonna have to just kind of deal with it. We've put the dogs out, but the cats.
And for some reason, Al's animals love me.
Yeah.
They just know that I don't have
What
pets.
is the favourite?
I don't have pets, so they just attract directly to me.
It's slobbered on and sneezed on. It's fantastic. It's great. But yeah, so I think we'll start go through the super fights. Obviously, Reece Jory versus Yusuf Hansrod. That's a big one for us. Both guys got a win and a pretty good win. So we're gonna find out.
And it's a rematch from AJP,
AJP,
right?
Yeah, I think Yusuf won that one via DQ. So I think Reece.
Yeah, Reece-
I mean, I stand
Reece
to be corrected. I
reaped
think Reece tried to leg lock him and reaped his leg.
Yeah, interesting.
So
So he got in on the entry, but
Yeah, he crossed over the hip line with that leg, and there was no warnings, just straight DQ, which is fine. I mean, that's what the rules are. So.
Yeah, sure. But interesting that he did manage to find an opening there, like in a different rule set. And I think that's quite important. I think what we've seen in the last 2 events is the importance of playing to and understanding the rule set.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of guys get caught off guard by the rule sets, and it sounds pretty straightforward, but it's very worthwhile to try and finish that fight like in a lot of time, because
Yeah.
things can happen, you know.
In like Yusuf's defense, obviously if you're playing in a rule set that doesn't allow leg locks and doesn't allow reaping, you're not exactly going to build your game around defending
Sure.
that. So
Sure.
I don't think you can take a lot away from Reece being DQ'd for the entry. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting match.
Just a note on Yusuf, obviously when I was there filming, I had a bit of a chat with Cheng, and you know, like, if he wins here, what next? What do we do? And he said to me, he's like, throw him in the 8-man in the featherweights, and I was like, okay, sounds like a good plan. I mean, I think he's about to turn 18, or he's just turned 18, so he's in the mix
Becoming an
now.
adult.
Yeah, he's got to get into the got to bumble with the big boys now. My friend.
well, featherweight, 66 kilos. It's not giant.
Well, that's his size, boy. You can't make him grow anymore.
Coming from a
Yeah,
66
you're coming from. Oh, boy, it's either that or you got to fight him. That's gonna happen.
Did we just make this fight happen?
Yeah, it just happened right now.
So wait, we would fight in the WTA featherweights and outside in the super fights at the same event.
Yeah, why not, bro?
In the same. Why would you do this?
You making this fight, not me.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so young Yusuf is going to be off to the races pretty soon.
Or we're gonna do predictions at the end.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
predictions.
I'm not
We're
going
gonna
to
do
do
predictions.
predictions.
We're
We're
not
not
doing-
upsetting anyone.
No, we're not
You
doing
can
predictions.
make your own predictions, boy.
This guy likes to stir.
I'm
Yeah,
not stirring anything.
he's-
I was just
he's
asking.
He's
That
like,
was normal.
hey, we've been 5 minutes and no controversy.
I was just asking because that was the old
This is
routine.
meant
I'm
to
trying to
be
find out.
a neutral pre-event show, reviewing what's going on. We're not here to upset
I think
people.
that fight will be good though.
Yeah, it will be very good. I think it's going to be very interesting. Reece was very. What surprised me about Reece is he was very patient. He was very calm. He obviously had some kind of a structure to his game plan, and he didn't let the moment get to him. And that's been important, especially for that age group. I still feel like Logan was completely flustered by the lights. It was like the step was big, and I think the next time you see Logan on there, I think he'll be completely different. I think the moment was quite overwhelming for him, and like he didn't really allow himself to settle in, you know. And both of these guys were so good at that, Reese and Yusuf, that they allowed themselves to settle into the fat. And instead of like they were like, okay, my game plan is X, Y, Z, and they went straight into it. You know what I mean? Instead of allowing themselves a bit of time to get into the fight and like relax a bit.
So often as a coach, you can backstage how something's going to go down, because you can see the demeanor of the person, you can see their mental state, and it was just one of those nights.
Yeah,
where you just know it's, and all you can do as a coach is try and get them to refocus on what they need to do, but there's not much more than you can do for that, because they need to work through it mentally, you know.
And we've got Abdel Ghani versus Nathan Thorne.
I think this fight's going to be epic.
This is one that, like, if you don't know these two guys, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Abdel is obviously, I want to say burst on the scene, but I mean, like, for us at Sub Kings, from the first time we saw him at where we're going to be at Techno Technologies, the event there, like he was doing crazy stuff, and we were training for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And like we've watched him kind of get better and better as he's gone, so that's been interesting to watch. And then Nathan and Walter Sisulu was just like man on fire.
I think he went 5-1 that day.
He was man
The
on
only person he
fire.
lost to was Alan.
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah. There's no shame
tough
in
one.
that. Yeah. So immediately as I was watching these two guys during the day, I was like, I think this is going to be the fight to make. The two guys had really just stuck their hands up. And I think the style is going to be great, like very high-paced, very submission-orientated. It's going to be super interesting. I'm really excited for that. Obviously, Abdel's coming out of my man Calvin's gym there, the Constrictors in where are they, in Centurion, eh?
No, like
Well, Pretoria.
I think like Morelet, I don't know, somewhere
So
it's
deep in
Morelet's
Pretoria.
Park.
Is it Morelet's Park?
Actually, I haven't been to the new spot. I'm not sure.
And then old Nathan from Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie
University.
Is it a university?
Yeah, it's
Weren't we
Gracie.
having this conversation the other day?
It's Gracie University Boys.
I thought it was Gracie
Oh, God,
Jiu-Jitsu
sure, we
for
go
us.
with the cat again. Please go away, cat. Now is not the time. So yeah, that's a
Is your cat
super.
pregnant?
No, it's just a big ass cat. It's just a big ass cat. He's waiting for some chow. And then Carlo Carrera versus the Coffin Bake. This was a late entry.
Yeah.
It was actually one that I kind of mapped out for the next event. It was kind of something that I had in mind.
Who was Nicole originally fighting? Meant to compete against?
She wasn't competing. This was who was in the spot. This was Tamaya Thompson
Oh, okay.
versus Natanya Corey. So we still had another 2 ladies fights on there. So we wanted 3. There was a format to have 3 ladies fights. So it was one I had in the bank, and I had to put it forward. But anyway,
Are you rescheduling the Natanya versus
Tamaya?
Tamaya?
Yeah. It's obviously a matter of getting back in touch with Tamaya. So Tamaya's thing was she had got a new job. And wasn't kind of committing to the training and stuff, you know. And those things kind of goes like you got to refine your feet and that kind of thing. So hopefully she'll get back into training soon, and then we can. It's definitely what I want to do. It's two ladies we really want to see on the big stage, you know. So yeah, but I think this is a great fight. They had a bit of a barn burner in MMA. I think Nick Koffenbeck won, if I'm not mistaken. That was at Nationals.
Yeah,
Actually,
I would
Saturday.
assume that Nicole would have won.
Yeah. So interesting matchup. We'll see how that one goes. We've seen Nicole. I mean, she's obviously she comes to win the English.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Nicole's fierce,
Yeah, she's
Serious BMT.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting matchup, and I think Carla's pretty much the same. She's very much going to try and like get in your face and get it done. So let's see. And Nicole's super young, dude. I didn't realize how young she is. She's like only 19 now.
Yeah.
Which is mental, you know. So it's gonna be interesting to see how she develops. And also, I went to Boxburg where they train, and it's the coldest. It's the coldest
You have to
place.
suffer while training.
It's the coldest place on earth. So
You have to suffer while training. That's
yeah,
how it works.
yeah, they come with an extra bit of suffering and ready to win. So
Well, did you go at night or what?
at night, it was
Because I went during
basically
the middle of
the
the day the
mountains
other
of
day.
Dagestan was the equivalent.
Well, I went during the middle of the day the other day and it was cooking.
Is it?
Yeah, it was hot. Like
What were,
boiling.
you, what were you doing in House of Tinkerbell?
No, not a house thinking about. I had to go get the shorts we ordered.
Oh, but that's different.
Yeah, we were
That's
talking about the facility specifically,
Yeah.
not
But
just
that's-
Boxman
it's,
in
it's, in,
general.
it's in like
It's
Jet
like
park.
like a
massive
warehouse,
warehouse,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so this is
It is cold in there, I'll tell you that much. I was freezing. And then old Garborg and
big guy Lazarus.
big guy Lazarus.
Not so big guy, that's
Yeah.
Huge, like shit.
Yes.
Versus equally not so big
yeah,
Kaliakos.
yeah, in the gi, which is gonna, people are gonna be. It's not children; these are grown men.
He's got a beard.
yeah, yeah, but it's nice to see. I think Cully's been obviously competing a little while. He's been around a little while, obviously, and Guy's been competing. Since,
He's a 4-stripe purple belt, so that doesn't happen overnight. So
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this division. You know, like
I'm excited for another gi match.
I get a lot of messages about this division from Guy specifically.
We didn't get that much action in the last gi match we had. So.
Yeah, it was over very quickly.
Yeah, that fucker. What a loser.
It was over before it even started. I was still wiping the coffee from my eyebrow and it was over. So hopefully we'll get a slightly longer one this time.
Rourke has
Or
been
not.
continuously armbarred non-stop since that day.
Or at least being told to get continuously on board.
But Guy brings quite a wealth of knowledge in the competition space. But again, he's sat Matt's out for some time. He knows what it looks like. So it's
But he had a good run there at Walter Sulu Hall.
sure.
So I think that definitely warranted him stepping up into the pro arena.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Two small men in the gi. Should be interesting. Be interesting. I'm more intrigued to see how they go about it. So I mean, you know a lot about Guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's competed a lot. And Kelly's obviously he's a team leader in SPG. You know, so he's gonna want to come out and stamp his authority.
But he's been a 4-stripe. He's been a purple belt for a long time. Hey?
Quite
Yeah,
a-
he has
Because I think at the moment his coach can't, because Sergio is also a brown belt, right?
Yeah, you won't be able to grade him.
So you can't go too brown. So he's been a purple
But they're part of that
belt for a long
HPG
time.
system. I'm sure, like, if it was required, they could make a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sash Robinson and Stephanie Graham. Again, it's a little Apex versus Gracie University four-ways. Yeah, Sash obviously didn't get a run in the quintet, so we were quite keen to get her back in there. Steph competed with us also at not Walter Sulu at Take Technologies. It wasn't too much to look at. Like the brackets weren't massive.
Yeah. But she had like 2 or 3 fights then.
Yeah. So interesting to see how they go. And I mean, these are people that like live and die jiu-jitsu every day, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
We want to see what they can do. We obviously don't know. We haven't seen them compete massive amounts. I know Sasha's competed in ADCC quite a bit. I think she's done AJP here and there.
Yeah, she won last year's Great North Challenge.
Yeah.
And then she competed recently in some of our affiliation comps. So
Okay. So yeah, nice to see the ladies. You know, like nice to get new ladies in there and kind of see where the women's divisions go. So there's another 4 ladies there in that sort of flyweight division, which helps, gives us a bit of a direction where we move to.
yeah.
And then young Aiden Griffith versus Chad's cousin. No, I'm just joking. Chad.
Is it?
No.
That's nice.
Aiden Griffith versus Verta Hanekom from Cape Town. Obviously, Aiden is the family to the young Luke Griffith. But I mean, Aiden's been competing with us, I think, since the second event we did, and he's been at every event. Travelled to Durban twice. He's been at every other event.
Yeah, he's one of your
Yeah.
absolute champions.
Yeah, he won the gold rash in Durban. That was quite funny because like I didn't really know Aiden at that time, and he just arrived and just mapped the whole place. I was like, okay, hello, how's it? How you doing?
And then I think he was at the last one. Did he get?
So
gold in his division?
Yeah, he got gold in his division, and then he did the absolute.
No, he didn't win his division. He lost to
Danny's.
Stefan Pretorius.
Oh, that's in Malta Super.
Yeah,
in
in
Durban,
Malta
I'm talking about. Yeah, the
Yeah.
last one's in Durban, he won the division.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Stefan Pretorius is also a brown belt who's been fighting professionally for
No,
some
100%.
time.
When everything lines up for Aiden, he's very difficult to
Yeah,
beat.
yeah. Strong kid.
I don't know much about Boita Hanekon, but I mean, he's fighting out under Jacques Martelli, and I mean, I can only assume that he's a legit strong purple belt.
Yeah.
I think
He's won the AJP a couple of times
Yeah.
as well. So, I mean, AJP is not something you win easily.
No, 100%, dude, 100%.
So, yeah, nice matchup there. Again, two newcomers on this stage. Aiden's also a young guy. His jiu-jitsu is getting better by the day. Both are very experienced. There's a massive age difference between these two. I think both is like in his 30s, and Aiden's also like super interesting matchup. Then just a couple of updates. We've had a bit of a rough weekend. We've lost Shana Power, so Kiara Fagan with Shana Power is unfortunately off. We have made a last minute entry for Gift Walker, which is going to be Raymond Aikert versus Gift Walker, which to be honest is probably better than the original matchup, so it kind of really played in our favour, because by chance we were scrambling to try and we lost Carl Fritz in the quintet, and I had sent a message to Rich about somebody, and I was like, I don't know if anybody's keen, but we're looking for combat at 66. He's like, yeah, Ray's keen. I was like, okay, let's go. So Raymond, have they faced each other in MMA before?
Yeah, I
Amateurs?
think Raymond triangled
Okay.
Gift.
Yeah, I mean, Gift has got his jiu-jitsu has come along really well. Also got to see him training. He looked really sharp. Adding in the combat aspect, it's going to be
very interesting.
super
Yeah, well,
interesting.
slappy jiu-jitsu.
Especially considering like the amount of MMA fights the two of these guys have had.
Yeah.
It makes absolute sense that they compete against each other in combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, I just kind of rolled the dice to see if anyone would. I wasn't like expecting things. I was like, Ray's keen. I was like, oh damn, that is an epic fight. So we've managed to make the combat fight actually even better, which is great.
So there's no replacement for Shana and Kiara?
No. It's like the obvious option would have been either like Hannah Griffith, who's not around, and then in lightweight, Ushi, who she just faced. So it was a bit sticky, especially on a couple of days, you know. So unfortunately, everyone's going to fall off. But we will get Kiara back. She's fighting in the nationals and stuff soon, so maybe it's for the better, I guess. It is what it is. We wanted 3 ladies fights. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. And then what is the main event for the super fights? DeMart Penner, which is for me a pretty cool thing to have someone like DeMart on against Dajuan Tim from PFA in Cape Town. Obviously, I don't know too much about Mr. Tim, but I've been getting harassed from the PFA people to get him in there. He's also got quite a cool story, like one of these guys in Cape Town. I don't know why everyone's a firefighter in Cape Town. It's pretty hectic. I suppose there's a lot of fires, I guess. But I mean, he's a firefighter, which is, I think, is awesome.
What other firefighters are there Cape Town? Besides Begum.
She's also a firefighter.
Oh, you know who also a firefighter? Quicksteel.
Oh yeah, Quicksteel was a firefighter.
There's a big
couple of
correlation between firefighting and
It's like
combat sports.
I would never want that job in my entire life.
Firefighting.
That is such a hectic job, though.
The thing is like 95% of the time there's not much to do.
Yeah, but that 5% there is something to do.
Yeah,
It's hectic.
especially in Cape Town.
It's
like,
intense.
Cool.
There's a good chance
this
something. There's a
entire
good chance you're
section,
going to come home.
This entire section of Cape Town is on fire. We're gonna have to go put it out. Cool. Okay. Yeah, respect to those people.
Have you ever like touched the side of a bra by mistake?
Oh my god. So,
I have to fight that thing. No, it's hot.
Listen, boy, I just want to state for the record that I think a felt fire, like when the whole mountain is on fire, is slightly worse than.
That's what I'm saying.
Have-
Now imagine.
have you ever been around a fault fire though? You can feel the
Yes.
heat like at a.
From your car while
Yeah.
you're driving past it.
It's madness, dude.
Exactly like the bra.
Exactly like the bra.
Yeah.
Why were you touching the side of the bra?
No, you sometimes you just walk back, touch the side of the bra.
I'm going to say that that's
There's
never
no case
happened
to go on
me.
medicine.
Yeah, you need help.
He needs help.
Into the 8-man, obviously, which had, this was one of the funny ones because it's I think I even said to you, I had this list of.
I think you said you had 16 names for the 8-man tournament.
Yeah, and I ran through all of them, which was quite, and plus a few others that I had forgotten, which was pretty interesting. A lot of guys were like injured, away, that kind of stuff. I don't know. But yeah.
To 5 or 10K, bro, I'd make a plan now.
Yeah. But there's, I like the way this is worked out. Obviously, we start from the bottom on this one. Jason Durant punching his ticket in, obviously winning his division. He had some big wins in there. I would have liked him to have done the absolute, but he had to get home. It was his 21st birthday, so he had flown in by himself, came and competed, and had to get back. His mom was even calling me, like trying to make sure he was going to be home because they had organised a surprise dinner for him or something like that. And I was like, cool, kid, just get on out here. Good job, crazy guy, and he's like, he's nothing intimidates him. He just wants to compete. You know what I mean? It's like the highest level possible, which is good for his growth. But like, he also, I feel like he's going to have to be like reining at some point. Be like, this is good for you. This is probably not good for you. But when I spoke to him about this, he was like, he didn't bat an eyelid. He's like, I'm 100% ready.
He's had 2 draws now in Sub Kings.
Yeah. And like the draws are quite interesting for me because it's in the setup, like for a youngster like Jason Durant, who's, you'd probably say he's not like a favourite to win the competition. You know what I mean? He's an underdog, dark horse kind of position. So if he can draw stuff out, it works for him. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, like with a guy like that, there's a very good chance you're going to go to overtime against them, and if you don't win the coin toss and he has the better strategy for the overtime, there's a good chance he's going to win. And you only need 3 of those to win the whole thing.
And when you're on someone's back, it's hard to shake someone. I mean, if you're on someone's back,
he's got
good back control.
Yeah, and
it's hard to get out. And if you got good back escapes, you can win against someone who's a higher belt or higher skill level than you, for sure.
And on top of that, he would have been the first out of everybody here to know that he was going to be doing this.
Yeah.
So he's had the longest amount of time to get ready. You know what I mean? Because I told him on that day, and I had said to some of the guys in the division, I'm like, you win this division, you're in. Like that's the way it's going to work. So he knew immediately. So he went home knowing like this is what's coming. You know.
Yeah. Nice 21st birthday present.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's a pleasure. But that's the thing, what we have seen from Jason is that he's super hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
He doesn't go away easily, and he's quite, he's become reasonably experienced at dragging those fights out. I mean, obviously it's been a quintet setting that he's...
His draw against Liam was the most important part of Pesper winning the finals of the quintet. Because that kicked off. Because then they obviously had that Joel came in next.
Yeah, Joel
also hit a draw, and that kind of put CIT on the back foot because now you only had strong guys left to finish it off.
And they were already down the first.
Yeah.
So it was, now you're in a tough position. Yeah, but so it's exciting to see like he's got the right kind of style to make a lot of problems for people.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've seen quite importantly is the guy who can come out in the first round and either A, get through his fight as fast as possible, or B, exert the least amount of energy will go through. You know what I mean? Because you've got to go back to back and then get into a final. We've seen that a lot. So if you're going up against Jason, you're obviously want to win that fight, but you want to do it quickly because otherwise he's literally going to suck every ounce of energy you have. You know, and that's also going to and that's also going to start to play in your mind. You know, like this kid's not going away.
Yeah.
So he's one definitely to keep an eye on. I don't think any of this 8-man is quite clear cut. You know, obviously there's guys that have physical attributes that'll suit them. That have the skill and the physical attributes, but these 2 youngsters in Conor Benthien and Jason Durant are gamers, 100%. Yeah. So Jason Durant versus Tiaan Gerber.
That's a very difficult first round draw.
Yeah.
Personally, from my side, I think Tiaan's probably on paper the favourite in my eyes to win the.
And again, it's one of those guys that like people won't really know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing Tion the last time, and he spoke about it in the vlog, and it's quite ironic because it's when he found out that he had cancer, it was against Steyn, and that it was at the ADCC. I think it was in the Mall of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the Mall of Africa. And they had a pretty good fight. Like,
Yeah.
he was giving Steyn a hard time, and you don't see that too often.
Well, you just look at how he dispatched Carl Abrams, who's no slouch whatsoever, right? He's like a legit brown belt.
Sure.
And you just see how he flew through that match,
And also on that, there was quite a reasonable weight difference between those two.
Yeah, you can
Like
see
Carl had come down a little bit in weight, and there was still a discrepancy.
Yeah.
You know, so and Tion was obviously a lot bigger, but he's one of those guys who's like at 85 kilos, 86 kilos comfortably now, who's like inverting and like it's. I was watching him train. Eventually, I just put the camera on. I was like, it's crazy. Like guys that size that have those kind of abilities and like seamless. You know, everything's just seamless.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think that if I had to make a wild prediction, Tion versus JC, I think
He just has to make one. Just let him make something. He just feels he has to make some predictions.
I think I agree with Warren. Tion's a good shooter for the favourites, along with.
But
that's a
again,
stacked division.
Again, it's like Jason is so problematic to deal with. You know what I mean? Like you in the first round, you want to get rid of that guy as fast as possible with as little energy as possible. Jason's, you know, like these younger guys are throwing up crazy things. They're doing crazy things. They're making you burn a lot of energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're game planning for that, you're looking at it and you're like, the best thing for me to do is use as little energy as possible, but get rid of this kid as fast as possible. And Jason's just going to go for it. He's, in his mind, he's 100%
He's got nothing to lose.
you know?
He's got nothing to
So
lose.
he's just going to go all out. You know what I mean? Like it's
He's a blue belt going up against much higher ranked opposition, much older, like men.
Yeah.
So I mean, like he literally has nothing to lose.
Yeah, and it's I like it because you know, like in 3-4 events, Jason Durant is going to be a whole different person. You know what I mean? That's what I'm excited about. So it's nice to see him in here, and like people will get to know him and understand him. I'm excited, man. It's a tough first draw for him, but like I say,
But you even potentially have one of those situations where he's tough enough to shake things up a little bit, even if he takes someone out. You know,
for sure.
Take someone out. If he happens to take out Tion, it changes the whole landscape.
Yeah, it changes everything. And then we've got also a late entry there, Dan Sussman versus Gelson Souza. So Dan and Connor were kind of like more or less at the same time. Connor was keen, Daniel was keen, so I said, okay, well, we're going to go with Connor, but Dan's down standby because I'm pretty sure at the time I was aware of Hermie Trotsky's issue. I said to him, look, I'm pretty sure it's going to change again, so just start getting ready. Well, you're going to be in the quintet anyway, so.
Hammy had a rib injury.
Yes. One of
many rib injuries.
I'm just going to stop inverting on it.
Please.
I'm going to stop
Just
inverting.
relax on the rib.
So this is an interesting one. Obviously, Dan is very physical, very strong guy. I think in his notes he was like he did some crazy deadlift the other day or squats like 2.5 times his body weight or something. I was like, okay.
He was in the Dylan's quintet team,
the
eh?
Filthy Wrist Lockers. Yes, sir.
Who did he fight?
He fought actually Connor. They went to a draw.
Okay, nice.
So I mean, we don't know too much about Gelson, but we know that he's a black belt and he's a big man. You know what I mean? Like he's like I think he does he fight at middleweight or welterweight?
He fought Gorilla, right?
Yeah.
At middleweight.
Yeah. So middleweight's obviously where he's comfortable. You know, for an MMA fight, he's going to cut some weight. He's for sure cutting some weight, but I don't think massive amounts. Like, I think he's one of those guys. Like, it depends where in the season you catch him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
It'll be very interesting to see Gelson in a jiu-jitsu environment. The only time I've seen him in jiu-jitsu was when he obviously had that match, that gi match against Luke.
Yeah.
When he was still a brown belt. But other than that, you can't take much away from watching the MMA fights he had with Gorilla.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, on paper, he should be the favorite technically.
Yeah.
A black belt from Brazil that lives and breathes jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and he had, from what I hear, a really, really good showing at the AJP, or what was it, the ADCC?
Yeah, he did really well.
Yeah.
he flew through his division. So
he's got some reps in, you know what I mean? Like he's taken it very, very seriously, you know. And he said an interesting thing, like his motivation was to win the respect of the jiu-jitsu community in South Africa, which I thought was, which is cool.
I mean, like that's like the reality of it, right? Is like you can go to any country, right? And because you haven't grown up in that community,
Sure.
they don't know much about you. So the only thing they can assess you on is your competitive history.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of there's some Brazilians that come out to South Africa and they try and establish a name for themselves, but no one ever gets to know them because they never see them
Sure.
in any sort of like public environment. So props to him for putting it out there. You know, it's like high risk for him, right?
Yeah.
He's like the highest ranked guy there. He's a black belt from Brazil.
Yeah.
If he loses any of these matches, everyone's going to be like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
But people also have to realize it's like a no-gi environment, submission only. Like belts don't mean as much as they do in like a gi environment, you know.
Sure. Yeah, and then to the barn burn of the first round.
Yeah, that is a
Chris Steenkamp.
hectic first round.
You know the crazy thing is, right? Knowing both these guys, I feel like JP is significantly bigger than Chris, like ginormous in comparison to Chris.
He's a big human being.
JP, I mean, he must cut serious weight to make middleweight. I think Chris is well under middleweight already.
Yeah. So Chris kind of like floats between low 70s and like very
Low
early
70s?
80s.
Low 70s?
No, sorry, late 70s.
Jeez,
And
like
low
At least he
80s.
knows he's in the middle. Just-
No, sorry, low 80s and like late 70s. He's like always kind of fluctuating between the two. I think Chris will take a lot of confidence after dealing with Cam. I think Cam and JP are very similar in size. So I think that'll be he'll have a lot of confidence from that. You know what I mean? In that setting, in that sort of rule set, he's done it. You know, he knows how to do it. You know what I mean? He knows the kind of game he needs to play. Like, yeah, it'll be interesting. Like Chris is very confident. He's not worried about size and that kind of stuff. JP is a absolute handful.
massive human being.
He is an absolute handful. It's not, and again, he's one of those guys like you watch him training and he's also like seamless transitions, inverting, like doing
People
mad
haven't
things.
seen his jiu-jitsu in a long time, but I think it was SABJJF. It was like 2018. I saw his fight with Mark Q, and it was a barn burner right up until the last minute. I think it was like, I might get this completely wrong, but it was close on points, and I think Mark just edged it or just subbed him right at the end. So jiu-jitsu game's solid.
Well, barring the match you had with Luke at ADCC, has he competed in jiu-jitsu? When was the last time he competed in jiu-jitsu barring that? Because I mean that didn't last very long. It lasted like 10 or 15 seconds. Got a neck injury.
Yeah, injured himself in that one.
I think that was the last one because I know he's been
Okay.
dealing with a neck issue for a long time. Because we've spoken to him a couple of times to try and get him on, and he's had a bit of a neck. His neck's been a bit.
He recently had an MMA fight, right?
Yeah.
He did. He's the number one contender at middleweight, right?
Yeah, he fought Roy Lacola.
So who's he fighting now?
Luke Michael.
Well, technically, yeah, should be. Yeah, so that's an interesting
You
matchup.
have to imagine JP with the fight, right?
That's for another show.
We don't do
We don't do
predictions.
We don't do predictions.
But yeah, it is unfortunate. One of those kind of fights you would have liked to have seen a little bit deeper in, but that's the luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah,
That's how it kind of goes.
You should do this. You should see these.
No, I like the papaka. The papaka gives the people what it wants. That's how it works. And then obviously young Conor Benton, who everybody's just so high on at the moment, especially in Cape Town, and for good reason. And against Stefan Pretorius, and I mean, like Stefan as well as Gain is another guy you've never really seen. I mean, both these guys, Stefan and JP, a little bit more, but traditionally you're seen as kickboxers, you know, who have just obviously fallen in love with jiu-jitsu. And I watched Stefan quite closely at the last Sub Kings. He injured his knee in the end of it, which I think was giving him a bit of problems, but he
He took out some serious.
Yeah. He's going to surprise a lot of people, I think.
He subbed Fritz.
Yeah.
Serious?
It's not easy to sub Fritz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, told, eh?
And he would have been quite a bit lighter than Fritz as well. And he did both divisions. He did the 84 and 91.
Oh, flip. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, dude, to be honest. Like, he's... it's like one of those unknown factors again. But
It's actually quite a nice matchup. I mean,
it is a nice matchup.
Connor's been taking scalps everywhere, you know,
Yeah.
like we had never heard of him until AJP Joburg, and then he beat Jones, and then he just went on a run, right? He
Yeah.
just flew through everyone, and then now he's your absolute champion, your middleweight champion. Do you win middleweight or welterweight?
Middleweight.
Okay.
So, because it was him and Desi. So, and this is the thing about Connor, like, and the guys were going crazy because I'd spoken to him before, and I was like, where do you prefer to compete? 77. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he was like, you got to get him in, you got to get him in, you got. I'm like, the guy was competing at 77. These are giant, but he's like 6'3" though.
Yeah.
Connor, I mean, he's not. He's obviously still young, and he's physically there's going to be some challenges. If he progresses, it's just going to get. I mean, if you look at that, if you say,
Stefan's flipping strong, bro.
yeah,
There is
Stefan
a-
is very strong.
Stefan's
Where's he
physical.
from?
Heidelberg.
Yeah,
Stefan.
Yeah,
Heidelberg.
Yeah, I got the Heidelberg string.
That's
It's like Polokwane strong, Heidelberg strong.
And Stefan's like it was. I had a really good time in Heidelberg, man. It was one of those like, it was just a cool morning with him and his missus and Mr. Combrink there, like just driving through the town and like talking a bit. And he's one of those guys in like this small town trying to obviously make a good gym and grow the sport, and this is massive for him. It's massively important for him, you know.
Is Sean Combrink also from his gym?
I don't know, but they were training together. Like I think
Okay.
Sean Combrink stays kind of in between the two, maybe stays in like Springs or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So they obviously meet up, and he's also a big dude. So yeah, I mean Stefan obviously spends a lot of time like teaching beginner sort of levels, you know, trying to grow. So you got to bring guys in, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's got, I think he's got a specific kind of style. But yeah, he's going to be problematic. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think Connor will. Well, we've seen a bit of Connor, but I think he's gotten a lot better. Funny enough, since he was last at Sub Kings, it was only a few months ago, you know. So it'll be very interesting to see. He's obviously got a very dangerous guard from the bits I have seen of him.
Like a strong triangle.
Yeah. So it'll be. I think stylistically it's going to be very interesting. But again, like if you're Stefan and you want to progress, and if you see Connor as this youngster, like that you're going to try and get past as quick as possible, it's going to be very difficult. You know what I mean? Like getting past the guard and trying to those kind of like dominant positions is going to be very, very, very tough. And again, for Connor, it's like nothing to lose. You know, he's a late entry. He's a youngster. He's a blue belt. He catches a scalp here, you know, and it's off to the races for him. You know, so like if you look at how these things go, like let's say either way, Jason Durant gets past Tim Cabin and has to face someone like Daniel or Jelson. It just gets harder and harder, you know what I mean? So it's very important to win emphatically and quickly in the first round, you know what I mean?
100%.
That's what makes the setup so interesting. Like it's and the time, the way we've structured it, it's like you get a longish break after the first round, and then the semis and finals are like quite a bit closer together. Like there's a shave off a few minutes.
Yeah.
So it gets hard, you know what I mean? And we saw with both guys. Jordan was, if you want to see how to win this, watch Jordan because of the way he does it. Like very little energy usage, very cool, calm, collected, and you saw something very similar from Reese. Except Reese, because he had a late entry, he knew to come out fast in the first one, try and get a submission as fast as possible, and then try and coast as much as you can, you know. But again, like that energy usage becomes super, super important. But these are all guys that are on the mat training all day, every day. So I don't think it should be too much of an issue.
Yeah.
And that's the Aikman. Obviously, there's the quintet that's also in there, but there's been a string of changes. Obviously, Desdi's coming down. He'll captain his side, which is Team Swanlight. He's got Dylan Curry McGill in his side, Bruce Hudson from there. We just lost Carl Fritz, so we're trying to replace that. Marcel Else is also in that side. waiting for the last member. And then on the other side, which is Team CMH Midrand, it's the high-flying Edson Mashawani is in there, led by my man Bradley, who's also trying to represent his Soweto Jiu-Jitsu, and I think it's Bryanston, Gracie Bar Bryanston.
Yeah.
Bad news, we just got bad news from Bad News, quite ironically. We just tore his
No
shoulder.
big news for bad news,
Yeah, but we're gonna stop Wayne Berman.
Baddest man in Primrose.
Yeah, the baddest man in Primrose. So yeah, the quintet will be. The quintet's like a fun thing. Like it's. I mean, the guys obviously want to win, but it's just.
It's
good
fun until you put a
entertainment.
gym name against it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's very different.
Big drama show. When is the next gym name? One.
Boy, I don't know. If I'm honest. We'll
That was
see.
almost Armageddon after the last
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah, it's. I'd like to do it, to be honest, but like, my idea was to have quite like a national representation. So, Cape Town, Joburg, Durban.
Provincial teams.
Yeah, yeah,
the crazy thing is that the actual like jiu-jitsu landscape's changed significantly since that quintet, right?
Mm.
I
I
think
like where you're going with this.
no. So I mean, like you have the formation of Crianche,
Yeah.
obviously which is a very strong team now in terms of like how many guys have moved to that gym. You obviously have the GBR split that's happened and having new gyms form out of that. And then obviously there wasn't representation for Quan Vessels in the last one, but I mean like essentially you could have a completely new quintet with just the champions defending. You know?
Yeah.
Just getting the buy-in from everyone and the commitment.
The big concern with like what we've seen in every event, and it was the same in that one. It was like how like problems happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like injuries, and people get fights, and people look at things come and go. You know what I mean? It's obviously like it's.
Well, you've seen the problem just trying to manage 2 quintet teams. Now you have to manage 4. Or
I also think it's like the high rate of sparring that you have in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah,
I mean, because there's no strikes, like you're sparring almost every day that you're on the mat.
Sure.
So the injuries are definitely going to creep in at some stage, you know. So
And as Big Justin Ferrier is insistent to tell everyone that it is because of winter. There's a way higher injury rate, or just because you're doing jiu-jitsu every day. But anyway,
that's winter.
yeah. No, look, that is a great point. So it's like.
Think about it. Whenever anyone's opened that door at the gym, someone's going to be injured. It's cold.
someone's got injured because I want to beat the shit out of them for opening the door.
Let us breathe this swampy air. It's cold outside.
Yeah, there was I think it was a summer, like the door was kind of half open. I just felt this breeze. I was like, what is that heavenly feeling?
Oh yeah, in summer it stays open.
Stays open, right?
What is
In
that
winter,
heavenly,
but in
what is
winter,
that heavenly feeling?
In winter, you can be like our midday sessions is 1 hour of sparring in it, right? You can be at like minute 55 of the 1 hour sparring, dripping with sweat, like the place is humid. That door opens slightly in winter, and it's like ice, it's just like this veil of ice that can hit you.
you just check you won't stop. You open the door.
Yeah, it's fresh. But yeah, that is the big concern. Obviously, it's like the thing is like it's if you have 4 quintet sides, and as we learned, like if one has to drop out, then you're scrambling. You're like, okay, what happens now?
You need a backup team.
Yeah. Whereas if you've got quintet and you're just filling people in, like you can just slot guys in, you know, which is it's something I definitely do want to see again.
The wrestling meet style thing could be cool as well. I know we've been ragging you for this one, but
I want to do the Polaris squad style. I have no idea how it works.
I like the Polaris squad style. The only problem with it is that you have to have a rule set that determines a win.
Polaris squads.
No. But so Polaris, they've had like 4 squad events now.
Yeah.
But their rule set allows for a draw, right?
No.
So they'll have 25 squads matches, and 23 or 22 of them will be a draw, and then it comes down to the 3 wins in the end,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is what Mika Galvao did now. Like 2 weeks ago, right? He came through at the end and got the 2 wins at the end and helped Brazil beat USA. So I think it is a very cool way to do it, but I think there needs to be a definitive winner at every match. You can't have draws.
Yeah. You
Which
just
are-
got to go to. You just got to have
Yeah.
like a,
It's basically like the Ryder Cup.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I dig it, but it was just like the rule set is just too complicated, and it's just.
I
too
think
many
if you
things
had a
going on.
submission only EBR rule set,
Well, now you've given it to everybody. Bro.
and then we do the squads, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
But you have to have coastal team versus inland team, or or like gym versus
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah, it's a real inter-gym politics going.
Angola versus South Africa.
That's one that
The
we can all
Angolans are
get
coming,
behind.
my friend. The
Because we're
Angolans
all willing
are
to
coming.
fight amongst each other, but as soon as now Angola's in the mix, we're together and we're fighting Angola.
But
The Angolans are coming. My
you know,
friend.
it's very interesting. The Angolans came out for AJP, and obviously there's a Gi and no Gi, and the Angolans really did dominate the Gi
Yeah.
divisions, right? But the moment it turned over to no Gi, the same guys that were dominating those divisions were getting knocked out in the first rounds, right? So it's very interesting that the different jiu-jitsu cultures that you have, because they've obviously got a long history of gi competition. They've had multiple people go over and win World Pro, be on the AJP tour, like the professional side of AJP tour. But not many of them compete no gi. So it'll be very interesting if they put together a team, and South Africa put together a team. I think it'll be pretty cool.
The Angolans are coming, so we have to have
And they
like
were
squads, but
raucous
it has
at
to be
the-
gi and no gi.
They were raucous at those Mars and All Africa champs. They like in the stands there. They get loud and it's cool. They make it a real vibe.
Yeah, they are coming. We've had a bit of contact with them and a couple of guys in Namibia as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some of them real soon. But anyways, guys and gals, that's it for the preview. We will hopefully be back for the recap. Hopefully not 10 weeks later this time, if we can figure it out. It's obviously submission.
Did you have a recap show?
We did have a recap show. We recapped my armbar.
Yes.
I had to
nice.
relive it. It was awesome.
Nice.
What Rourke did wrong.
You know, we talk about it
Oh,
every
you're
training
It's
session.
the best.
I know.
Just remind them how you.
It's the best.
Trash.
But yeah, we'll be live this Friday. That's the 8th of July. Obviously on YouTube, check out our YouTube channel, which is obviously just Submission Kings. The Waynes will be live from 10:30. The action will begin shortly after 7 p.m. on Friday night. We are sold out. We are at capacity. We can do no more in terms of tickets, I'm afraid. So yeah, check it out on YouTube.
Can we see it on Supersport?
Yes, hopefully soon. Yeah, which channel? But yeah, just on
I love
YouTube.
how everyone's like, when is it gonna go on Flow Grappling? I was like, cool. How many of you can afford a Flow Grappling
Yeah.
membership?
Yeah.
The viewership's gonna drop dramatically if we go on Flow
Drastically.
Grappling because no one can pay that membership.
Slow gaps be like, that's South Africa's not about trying to use the same login details. I don't know what it is. I don't know what
There's
it
5 accounts and everyone's getting
Yeah.
500 people trying to log in.
is. Listen,
We would
Flow
never
Gap.
do that.
Never be
We've
back.
never done that.
Yeah, you'll catch us. This is winner takes all number 3, the middleweights. It's a juicy little card. Looking forward to it. Really getting pumped now. We'll see you there. Bye now.
Cheers.